Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 4 of the Back to the Roots podcast. We have a new lineup today. It's myself, Atharva, Ved, and our Cameron Green, Aditya Krishna, joining us finally after 4 weeks. So let's get into it, boys. We're going to cover week 5 and week 6 of both Division 1 and 2 of the county championships, and then talk about two different upcoming events that have occurred in cricket over the last couple of weeks. So, starting off with Division 1, Week 5. So I'm quickly going to run past the scores. So Warwickshire beat Hampshire by an innings and 84 runs in the first game. Interestingly, Hampshire were 35 for 9 and got 97 all out in the second innings. Um, the GOAT, Muhammad Abbas, who we talk about every week, stood tall and played 48 balls, and captain James Wynn scored 52 not out. Eventually, Chris Rushforth got 10 for 76 in the game, which probably makes him the standout player. Quickly moving on to Lancashire versus Nottinghamshire. Tame draw at the end. Despite a hamstring injury, Ollie Stone, who was batting the last ball of the game, it was again so nail biting where he was defending the last ball and he thought he defended it really well and the game was over, but then only for the umpires to say no ball. So the pressure was on. He was the last batsman, 138 for 9, had to kind of defend that last ball, which he did, but and then secured the draw. And Stuart Broad, who is notoriously known as the Nighthawk for England, who can come and score those late runs, had to actually dig down and beat like 3 not out of 50 balls. So that's quite interesting for Stuart Broad to show that he has that side of him as well. Uh, Talking about the third game, it's Northamptonshire and Somerset. Again, that was a draw at the end. So Northamptonshire began the final day needing 91 to avoid an innings defeat with 9 wickets in hand. So Captain Sam Whiteman batted through the day. He's got like what 6.5 hours or over 6.5 hours of batting on the final day, which is incredible. And unfortunately, the wickets kept tumbling around him. So he finished on 130 not out from 269 deliveries to secure a draw. So coming in clutch, the captain Sam Whiteman to get that draw. And last game for the week, it was Essex versus Surrey, two of the potential title challengers. Surrey, we've always said, are title favorites, and Essex look to be one of the strong contenders for at least the top four. But day three was washed out in this game. It was a tame draw, and only 6 overs were bowled on day three. So a draw was pretty much set in stone. On the last day, Surrey was set 273 in 50 overs, which in any other format could have gone differently. Like we saw Middlesex a couple of weeks ago do that against Nottinghamshire. And Ollie Pope looked to start off high and get those runs, but unfortunately, consistent loss of wickets meant that they had to eventually grind out a draw and ended on 153 for 7. So yeah, that was week 5 of Division 1. Moving to week 5 Division 2. Ved, do you want to take it over, please?
Okay, moving over to Division 2. The first game would be Sussex versus Worcestershire. And I don't think this is a county game. Looking at both the lineups, look like more like an international game, seeing who all were playing. Steve Smith played his first game of this year's county, and it was Ollie Robinson's game. He picked up 14 wickets over 2 innings, uh, and it was a drawn game. Although Sussex did end up getting the first innings lead, the game was drawn with Ali saving Worcestershire in the second innings by scoring an unbeaten ton. Worcestershire reeling it for 251 for 8, and the game ended up being a draw. Pujara again got a brilliant 100 for Sussex. So great match overall over there. Then let's move on to the game of the week in County Division 2, Glamorgan versus Yorkshire. Belter of a game. It was a low scoring thriller initially. Labuschagne got 65 in the first innings and got a wonderful 170 in the second innings. Michael Nesser restricted Yorkshire to a measly 105 by taking 7 wickets in the first innings. And Yorkshire came out fighting, although they had to chase around 500 runs. Adam Light scored a brilliant 174, which restricted uh, and stopped Glamorgan from getting an outright victory. So Yorkshire ended up with 412 for 9. Again, a drawn game you can see in week County Division 2 of week 5. Moving on to the last game, again a drawn game as usual. I've been given the task of covering drawn games, so I feel like it's becoming a habit now. So it was a rain affected game as usual again. with Leicester being bowled out for 122. Derby went on to score 350 with Lush Deploy scoring 94, just missing out on his 100. Leicester ended up scoring 281 in response for the second in their second innings with Rishi Patel and Lewis Hill helping them reach that total. Again, due to rain, game couldn't be completed. Derbyshire didn't bat the second innings, and the game was drawn. So that sums up County Division Two for Week 5 of this year's season.
Perfect. Thanks, Ved. Moving on quickly to week 6 of the county championship. I'm starting off with Division 1. Warwickshire beat Essex by 4 wickets. This was a game again by two potential title challengers, and which ended in a Warwickshire win. Shout out to Hassan Ali, who took 6 wickets and scored a 50 of 30 odd balls, and all without injuring his shoulder. So, of course, well done to Hassan Ali there. Somerset had a tame draw at the end with Lancashire. So Somerset's James Rue scored twin tons in the game with 105 and 118 not out. So incredible performance there. And Somerset unfortunately still remain winless. The major update from this game, apart from the draw, is the fact that Lancashire and England's finest Jimmy Anderson pulled off with a groin strain. He has then come out to say that he's probably out for the Ireland test, but should be back in a couple of weeks' time, fully fit for the Ashes. But we can never say, given his age and the fact that it's a groin injury, we never know. But hopefully he'll be back. Talking about Middlesex Surrey, this was basically top versus bottom, you can say in some capacity. Middlesex started strong with 166 for two, but went straight to 209 all out in the first innings, and I think that just sealed the loss right from the start. Against again possibly the best team and the best pace attack in the competition. Can Middlesex stay up this season? It seems apparently from what the commentators say that you probably need 3 wins this season to stay up, is what the chat is going around. So they've got two already. So potentially a win or maybe one draw and a couple of draws and a win more, and then Middlesex could stay up this year. Let's see. Couple of more games quickly. Nottinghamshire drew one by innings and 25 runs against Northamptonshire. This was a rare innings defeat. Both the pacers, Dan Patterson and Brett Hutton, both were spoken about previously, took 7 apiece in this game. And the void that Mr. Stuart Broad had left, unfortunately, didn't play this game, was easily covered by these two, and they got an innings victory in their back, which is great. I would love to see more low scoring games and a more bowler dominated tournament, since there's been a lot of batsman dominated tournament games so far. Lastly, before moving on to Adi, was Kent versus Hampshire. So Mohammad Abbas, one of the goat, just took 1 wicket in this game, which is not good enough. But yeah, he got 1 wicket as Kent got 95 all out and trailed Hampshire by 278 after the first innings. But after a solid second inning start, Kent went from 112 for no loss to 126 for three. So it looked like there was some quick wickets there, but good rearguard action by the lower middle order and lower order ensured that they could get a draw at the end. So quite a few draws except for innings victory for Nottinghamshire. But yeah, that was week 6 of Division 1. Moving quickly to Adi.
So the week 6 of Division Two was a very interesting one. The first game that we looking at is Derbyshire versus Gloucestershire, and this is the game that it was a draw at the end, but then it saw Gloucestershire picking up their first batting points of the season by putting 383 on their board. But then what was commendable was Derbyshire's second innings, where they saw an early collapse of 28 from three, but then a captain's innings along with debutant Mitch Wagstaff putting up a show with them holding out and making a draw at the end of the game. The next game that we look at is Worcestershire versus Glamorgan, and this was the first win that Glamorgan got in this tournament, and they got 20 points as well. And their primary bowler Tim van der Gupten cemented his place as the leading bowler with his third 5-wicket haul of the season. And given that they had only a target of 79, Glamorgan finished it within the first hour of the third day. The next game that we're looking at was the highly anticipated game of Sussex versus Leicestershire, with Sussex getting the inputs of Steve Smith and Chiteshwar Pujara in their squad. However, this game went on to be a draw as well, with Leicestershire continuing their unbeaten run despite being forced into a follow-on. Hundreds from Rishi Patel and Vian Mulder ensured that the match is drawn out. However, the game that we're going to talk about this week is Yorkshire versus Durham, and this is a game that was very evenly poised and went right down to the wire. Yorkshire put up a first innings score of 254, to which Durham replied with a mere 227. And Matthew Potts and Ben Rain got four wickets and 3 wickets each in the first innings. And then Yorkshire replied with the second innings score of 218. And then that's when things got interesting, when the game went right down to the wire with Yorkshire getting the second new ball with 2 runs left, for Durham getting 2 runs left. And then they picked up a wicket in that very over. And then Brandon Cars, who has a back injury, came back with a runner and then tipped away to with an edge to third man in the last ball of the over to score the winning runs. This ensured that Yorkshire are now undefeated for 17 games straight, which is something that they need to reflect on.
Stunning. I mean, lot of games that we've covered really quickly in the last 10 odd minutes. A lot of interesting points. Any top performers that y'all want to quickly highlight over the last 2 weeks of cricket? I'd say Rishi Patel, because I mentioned him a previous week as well, for Leicestershire to go and get that 100. And in the first innings, first division, I would love to say the Surrey pace attack. I think to get an easy win over Middlesex and make it look like it was nothing was quite interesting for me.
I think Ollie Robinson has to be my pick over these past 2 weeks. He's looking frighteningly quick. He's accurate and he's moving the ball both ways as well. So I think Australia really have to come prepared and they have to learn how to tackle him if they want to take home the Ashes this year. So great start and should give him confidence before such a big series coming up in the coming months.
Adi?
I think for me, I'm split between Vian Mulder and Ben Rain, because they were people that contributed with both the bat and the ball. But I think if I have to pick someone, it would be Vian Mulder, because not only did he score 100, he also took a 5 wicket haul in the first innings of the game of Sussex versus Leicestershire. So I would probably pick Vian Mulder, especially because he averaged about 11 runs in the past 6 innings, and then he got form again and scored 100 in the previous game.
Top form. Yeah, I also want to quickly talk about James Rew, Somerset's James Rew, to score twin tons in a game when especially your team hasn't won this entire season, to come out and score those twin tons, especially against Lancashire and Jimmy Anderson. I think that is commendable as well. So talking about the tables now, before we quickly move on to a break, I think is it till mid-June, I think, or possibly even mid-July, for the Vitality Blast. We're just going to quickly go over both tables. So first, starting off with the County Championship Division 1. So we have Surrey, who are again title favorites, standing on top with 104 points. They haven't lost a game this season. Played 6, won 4, and drawn 2. Mid-table, interestingly, we have Lancashire actually sitting at 8th position, not really mid-table, but they've played 5. Another team that hasn't lost this tournament so far, but they've had 5 draws. So does it really help if you're consistently drawing games? Clearly not. So the top 4 are Surrey, Warwickshire, Hampshire, and Nottinghamshire. The middle of the pack are Somerset, Essex, Middlesex, and the bottom 3 are Lancashire, Kent, and Northamptonshire. So Northamptonshire have a win, Kent have a win, Lancashire, as I said, don't have a win, and it's the bottom 2 who get relegated. So at this point, who are you guys going to predict as? Can you give me your winner predictions and your teams who are going to get relegated? I'll quickly start off. I feel Surrey are just too good to possibly slip up from here. So I'd say Surrey as my winners. And to go down, I'd say Northamptonshire for sure. I haven't really showed too much so far. And I'd actually go Kent because their batting, despite having Zach Crawley, haven't really fired yet. So I'd go Kent and Northamptonshire, the ones sitting bottom right now, to go down so far. So thoughts, boys?
I think Surrey are going to take it this year. They're really strong. I think they're going to win. I'm going to agree with you with Northamptonshire going down, but I feel like I'm sorry, I have to go against you on this one. But I think Middlesex might end up going down. It all depends on depth and how they do over the course of an entire season. I know um they've got their act in order now, and they've started doing well. But let's see how long they can be this consistent and uh, go on from there.
Yeah, I mean, perfectly put. I think they're over reliant on Tim Murtaugh, I can say, and the bowling department, and he's almost 40. I think he's 41 possibly. So
Yeah.
one injury, couple of injuries, you never know how this is going to go. And our batting lineup is not really doing well so far. So perfect. I mean, Middlesex. I hate that, but you never know. Fine, fair enough. With Adi last.
I think in terms of who's going to win, I think it's pretty evident that Surrey has the best chance. And again, I think I'm going to be on Wade with this one because I was just going through the table and stuff, and Middlesex they're tied with Northamptonshire in terms of the number of bonus points they've got off their batting, and being heavily dependent on their bowling lineup is a cause of concern over the season. And again, but then you never know, given how the weather is, given how just the days are, you could have a washout suddenly, and then it would probably not even it could not even result in Surrey winning the title. So fingers crossed, like of all other factors aside. But yeah, I think Surrey's gonna win.
Oh, perfect. I mean, all of us have Surrey then. Both of you all unfortunately have Middlesex in the relegation zone. Moving on to Division 2. Starting off, we have Durham on top, and the followed by Sussex, Worcestershire, Glamorgan, Leicestershire, Gloucestershire, and the bottom two being Derbyshire and Yorkshire. Going on to our predictions, I think Sussex are probably the favorites. I think I'm gonna stick to my Pujara bias and say Sussex to win, and Yorkshire and Derbyshire stay as the bottom two. Thoughts, boys?
I think Durham are going up naturally. They're too far ahead on the table to really not see it through. I don't think Sussex will go up because they're going to lose a lot of players to international matches now. I think Worcestershire might end up qualifying above them, and I feel like Worcestershire and Sussex will end up getting promoted this year. Now,
Yeah,
what about you, Adi?
yeah, I think Durham going up is seems very possible. And Sussex, I think that was a very interesting point that you brought up in terms of I forgot to consider that, given that the World Test Championship final is going on and then the Ashes follow soon after. It's gonna be a lot of workload for the players as well. And even if they are available for whatever reason, they're still gonna be exhausted in terms of because they've just played a lot of games. Uh, but I still think Sussex are gonna somehow pull through.
I
I
think
still
the
think they're
issue
gonna
with
pull
Sussex is not that I know that teams can make up for losing a few players, but they've been so heavily reliant on the players that they're going to end up losing. It's going to be hard to make up for what they're going to lose, and Worcestershire are
But
right behind them.
also,
So
boys, it's also two up, two down. So technically, both Durham and Sussex go up if they just hold their positions. And then it's about just who wins it, I guess, and then can go into the next
yeah,
division with confidence. So
yeah. So
pick your
that's why
winner.
I think it's Durham and Worcestershire for now. So
I'd go Durham and Sussex, just again biased. But Adi, yeah, last if you have to just quickly say
I'm going Durham and Sussex as well. I just feel they're gonna somehow pull through.
perfect.
so we
So
have a wager then.
let's see, let's do it. I mean, yeah, let's do it for both divisions then. Why not? I'll at least get some Middlesex brownie points. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the wrap up of week 5 and week 6 of both County Division 1 and Division 2.